The notes today are subtraction equations. Now we've already done addition equations, so this is the same method. It's just that we're going to be doing the opposite of subtraction instead of the opposite of addition. Now remember, the goal when we're solving equations is to have x all by itself on one side of the equation. All right, remember that our equation is a balance. If we do something to the left side of the equation, we have to do the same thing to the right side of the equation. Just as if you had a real scale, a real balance, and you took a pound of weight away from the left side, now it would lean to the right. So we have to take a pound away from the right side so that our scale will even out again, or our balance will even out again. Okay, so looking at these, model the following problems using cups and counters. You can choose whatever cups and counters that you want. You can use the trash can and the red and yellow cups and counters, but if you're going to use something different, come out here to the side, make a box, write key over it, and say you're going to use, I don't know, rectangles for x's or squares, and you make that equal to x, and then pluses are equal to +1, and minuses are equal to -1, okay? So you just make a key off to the side telling me what an x is worth, what a positive 1 is worth, what a negative 1 is worth. So model the following problems using cups and counters. Make your key, show your model. Remember that since it's subtraction, subtraction and negative sign are the same thing, okay? They're the same thing. So when I am looking at this equation, I am looking at positive x and -2. The sign in front of the number goes with it. So this is positive x, and there's nothing in front of it, so that makes it positive. And then when I look at the 2, that's a -2, or a subtraction of 2. Subtracting 2 and -2 end up being the same thing. All right? So I'm going to model a positive x, 2 negatives, since the sign goes with the 2, and then equals and 3 positives on the other side. You'll do 1 and 2 on your own here. All right, model the following problems using algebra tiles. This is going to be the same thing that you did on the addition equations. Remember that you're going to put in your x and then your 6 negatives and your 7 positives. That's your first picture. Now your second picture, you're going to draw this exact same thing again. Draw the x again, draw your 6 negatives again, and then draw your 7 positives again. Now we have to figure out what we're going to do to get rid of the 6 negatives that are with x. And we know that we have to add 6 or put 6 positives with that. So in this second picture, I'm going to draw, and I put 7 negatives in there the first time, so let me take that one out. Okay, so now I have my x and my 6 negatives. Now I'm putting 6 positives with it to cancel out my 6 negatives so that x will be alone. These together make 0. Remember your 0 pairs. You cross out one positive and one negative at a time. Now I've added 6 positives to the left side of my equation. I have to do the same thing to the other side. So I'm going to put my 6 over here. Okay? Now, after crossing out 0 pairs, all I'm left with on the left is 1x. That's all that's left. These all made 0 together. On the right, I can't cancel anything out here. So I'm going to have to count up everything that I have and model it down here. So this is going to be 7 plus 6, that's 13 positive counters. Okay, and that's how you model. So go ahead and do that with number 4 over here. Remember that when you're on this right side of the equation, this is the equal sign. This line right here is the equal sign. So you're going to draw your 4 negatives over here on this side. Okay, now we're going to take a look at how we do it writing out our steps. like we did with addition of equation. So when I'm looking at this, I see my variable is on the left side. I'm going to draw a line down here to separate the two halves of my equation. X is on the left side, so I have to undo whatever is happening with x, or I have to do the opposite so that I can get x by itself. On this side, I'm going to have to add 2 to make negative 2 and positive 2 be 0. Okay? So on the other side, I also have to add 2. I don't do the opposite. I do the exact same thing to both sides. All right? So since I added 2 to the left, I have to add 2 to the right. Now, these become 0. Negative 2 and positive 2 make 0, so all I have left over here is x. I don't have x plus 0. I just have x. If it's 0, we drop it out of the equation. I have x on the left side. I have 3 plus 2 on the right side, which is 5. Now remember, this line here means equals. So now x equals 5. When I check it, I'm going to write x minus 2 equals 3. I'm going to plug in 5 where the x was. 5 minus 2 equals 3. And you need to check and make sure, what does 5 minus 2 equal? And it does equal 3. So I'm going to put 3 equals 3. Both sides of my equation are balanced. They match. They're the same. And so this is a good check. That means I have the right answer. X equals 5. I'm going to box that. I want you to try the same steps with number 6. This is how you show your work. This is what I want to see. Try your steps with number 6. And then I want you to also go ahead and do 7. Number 8 has decimals in it, but don't be scared, because remember, every decimal has an opposite. So when we're looking at number 8, our variable is on the left, x is over here. We have to undo the negative 2.68, and the opposite of that is positive 2.68. Okay? So you're going to be adding 2.68 to both sides, and then show your check. Okay? Now, when you get down here to on number 9. On number 9, remember, what do we look for? First, we look for what side is our variable on. This time our variable's on the right. So we're going to have to get x by itself. We're going to be working on the right over here. We have to do the opposite of subtracting 5 first. We leave the negative 7 alone. It's all by itself already. We don't need to touch it. We look at where is our variable. This time it's on the right, so we're going to work with the numbers on the right. In number 10, it gives you an extra step to do. Okay? You could go ahead and subtract 5 from each side and then add 13 to each side. The other thing you can do is combine these two numbers together, negative 13 and positive 5. Remember, the sign that's in front of the number stays with it. So negative 13 and positive 5 would make something. Then you'd have x and that number equals 20. Or you could make it a two-step problem and subtract 5 from each side first and then add 13 to each side next. However you prefer to do it. Okay, so we will be doing subtracting one-step equations in class, and we'll talk some more about it if you have questions.